I definitely think there'd be less suicide if there was less stigma. I think I'm still navigating the stigma of suicide, and losing the most important person or my person to suicide it's challenging to talk about. My name's Lee Rose. I am a proud father. I have a great job. And a new word that I'm starting to get used to describing myself is, which I don't like, is widower. 10 years ago, I was newly out, finally able to accept and be my authentic self. So yeah, 10 years ago me is very different than today me. A couple weeks ago, this photo popped up on my Instagram as a memory of a trip I took with my kids to Toronto. And it was, recently separated. And the first trip I was taking just with the kids alone. For me, it was a moment to realize that I could do this, that I could parent, I could show up for my kids in a beautiful way. We could have fun. 2 months after that trip is when I met Charlot, the person I fell in love with. Letting someone into my life where I could sort of be fully Lee, and that was so liberating and so comforting. And that person was Charles-Éric. And I remember the first time I introduced him to my parents. We got out of the car in the driveway, and I didn't even have a chance to catch a breath. He bolted out of the car, and my dad was already in the driveway, and shook my dad's hand, and was like, and I just saw my dad look at him and look at me and this smile. And in that moment, still sitting in the driver's seat of my car, a lifetime of guilt, shame, anxiety, all that melted away in an instant. And my body just shifted, this weight was lifted off of my shoulders. What a beautiful gift that was. When Charles-Éric and I started dating, there were no outward signs of mental illness or him navigating substance use. Everything was, appeared to be normal. As time went on, and as his mental illness progressed or became apparent, that the things I loved about him, his spontaneity, his ability to just sort of go with things, could also be interpreted and sort of sometimes manifest as, some anxiety or, other types of things where he might be obsessive about something. And Charles had started to use substances to help manage his stress of all that kind of thing. And I didn't know. I couldn't tell. I just assumed he was tired and cranky and irritable because he was opening a restaurant. After the restaurant opened, he disclosed to me that this was happening, and he was really frightened. And he, took a pause from the restaurant and went to rehab. I remember going to see him for the first time after a few weeks in rehab, and I just saw the light in his eyes again. And I was so excited because my person was back. And I felt so guilty for not knowing and not being able to identify how much he was struggling with while all that was happening. And we probably had, a good year, 18 months of new established routines, and the bugaboos or the pieces of his trauma and the illness were still there. They continued to show up. They were managed with medication and therapy. But yeah, we had a beautiful period of time together. But that morning, I woke up and he was still on the couch. And it was clear that he hadn't fallen asleep or gone to bed, that he had spent the night awake. And I went to work, sent him a text, told him I loved him, and told him to take the day off work because he wasn't ready. And the last text he sent to me was, "Baby, I'm exhausted." That night I called his mom, I called his best friend, I called his boss, I called my best friend, and all of a sudden, in the span of 3 hours, those plans that we were making, all the things that we had wanted to do together, were ripped away from me. And I've learned the importance that I will be holding my grief. and the loss of my great love forever. I'm on a different path now, not one of my choosing, but one of my making. And I would give anything to have him back.